I'm Sam, and welcome to my Southern Rustic Kitchen. This week I'm going to show you how to make some easy meals for busy days. So come join me in the kitchen and let's make some delicious meals. Alright, we're starting this week off with steak. Now this steak has been marinating. These are some of the ingredients that I used for the marinade. I've got some Worcestershire sauce here, some of this Kinder's Buttery Steakhouse, some garlic powder and onion powder, and a little bit of salt and pepper. Now this has been marinating for a couple of hours. I just had it in the refrigerator. So I've got it sitting here just coming to room temperature. I'm going to let it sit for about 20 to 30 minutes. In the meantime, we're going to make our chimichurri sauce. For the ingredients, I've got some finely diced parsley, some red wine vinegar. I've got some red pepper flakes in here, but you can use a seeded red pepper, spicy red pepper. I've got some dried oregano, some minced garlic, salt and pepper, and some olive oil. And to go with that, I'm just going to make some green beans and some of this pasta salad. It just sounded good, so I'm going to get you guys set up and we'll get this chimichurri sauce going and get it marinating for dinner. Alright, so I've got my parsley here. I just added a little bit of salt and pepper to this. And you're basically just going to add all of your ingredients in here. Now the recipe that I'm doing today is on my blog. You can find it there. I'm halving the recipe since we're just having one steak. I'm just going to half that between me and my daughter. It's just us today. So I've got my olive oil in there. You're probably going to need about 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup. If you're making the whole one, you'll need 1/2 cup. But I will leave the recipe linked in the description box below for you guys. So I've got that in there. I'm going to add in my red wine vinegar, my red pepper flakes. Now this is to taste. If you don't want it spicy, don't add a lot. Oregano, and my garlic. And you're just going to mix this up until it's nice and combined. So all I'm going to do is just finish mixing this up. Pop a lid on this, or you can cover it with plastic wrap, and you're just going to let this chill in the refrigerator until you're ready to serve it. Or you can do this overnight, just let it come to room temperature before you serve it. So I'm going to put some plastic wrap and set this to the side, and then we'll get started on the rest of dinner. Alright, so I've got everything going. I've got my steak going over here. It's going to cook about 2 minutes or so on each side because we like ours medium rare. I've got my green beans going here. I'm just going to saute these up in a little bit of butter, olive oil, salt and pepper, and whatever seasoning you prefer. I probably will do garlic powder, onion powder. Not quite sure yet. And I've got my pasta going back here. So I'm going to let this finish up cooking, and then I will show you my plate when it's all done. Here is my plate. I just have the steak here. Like I said, we like ours medium rare. If you like yours cooked completely through, then just go ahead and do that. And I just topped it with the delicious chimichurri sauce on the top, served it with the green beans and the pasta on the side, and you guys, this was absolutely delicious. I will leave the link to the chimichurri sauce in the description box below for you guys. So yeah, this is what we had for dinner tonight. Alright, so I'm going to be making kraut and sausage today, and I'm going to make some skillet potatoes to go along with it. Now I like to prep all of my ingredients beforehand because it just makes it a lot more easy to put everything together when it's dinner time. So for ingredients, I've got some kielbasa here. You can use any brand or any style flavor that you like. I just cut it into 2-inch pieces and then cut those pieces in half. I've got some sauerkraut here. You can do whatever kind is your favorite. I've got some salt and pepper, some olive oil, chicken broth, onion. For spices, I've got caraway seeds, red pepper flakes, and some mustard powder. For my skillet potatoes, I've just got some potatoes here that I cubed up, and they're soaking in water just to get some of that excess starch out. And for seasoning, you can season them however you want. I've got some nature seasoning, Lowry seasoned salt, and some paprika. So I'm going to get these potatoes drained and on the stove, and we're going to season those up, and then we will get everything else going. Okay, so my skillet is hot. I just added a little bit of olive oil to the bottom of the pan, and I added in my kielbasa sausage. Now all I want to do right now is get this kind of golden brown on both sides. It shouldn't take too long, about 3 minutes or so per side. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and put it back in my little bowl here, and then we will move on to the next step. Alright, so the sausages are done. I've got them sitting here in my bowl, and I just went ahead and added in my onions and a little bit of salt and pepper, and I'm just going to let these cook about 5 minutes or so just to get them nice and tender and kind of translucent, and then we will move on to the next step. And plus, I've got my potatoes here. These usually take about 15 to 20 minutes to cook. I just did their first flip, so they're getting nice and golden brown. So I'm going to finish this up, and then we will move on to adding the sauerkraut. Alright, so these have been cooking for about 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and add in my seasoning. This is the caraway seeds, the red pepper, and the mustard powder. I'm just going to add that right in, and I'm going to let this toast up for literally like 10-15 seconds. Alright, and now you're just going to add in your sauerkraut. Now you can cook this down. You can drain the sauerkraut if you want to. I'm going to cook this for about 15 to 20 minutes, so it's going to cook off anyway, so I just left it undrained. But go ahead and add in all of your chicken broth, and then give that a little stir. You're going to want to bring this up to a boil over medium-low heat. And then once it comes up to a boil, you're going to add in your sausage and let it cook for about 15 to 20 minutes, just until everything is nice and evaporated. All that liquid is gone from in there. And then everything should be good to go. Alright, it's starting to bubble around the edges. I'm going to go ahead and add in my sausage and give that a little stir. And I'm just going to kind of leave this alone, stir it every once in a while just so it doesn't burn on the bottom of the pan, and let this cook for about 15 to 20 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to finish up my fries, or my skillet potatoes, and then I'll meet you back here when it's all done. Alright, so this has been cooking for about 15 minutes. All of the water, all of the liquid has evaporated, and I've just been sitting here stirring it, trying to get some nice color on that sauerkraut. You don't want it to get too brown because you don't want it to get bitter. But this is pretty much done. I'm just going to cut my heat off and get this out of my cast iron pan as quickly as I possibly can and get it into a serving dish. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and make my plate, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Alright y'all, here is my plate. I just have the sausage and kraut here. If you are a fan of sauerkraut, you are going to love this. This was absolutely delicious. It's got a kind of a kick to it, but like I said, you can omit the red pepper flakes if you don't want it spicy. But I just paired that with the skillet potatoes and some corn, and this was so good. But yeah, this is what we had for dinner tonight. Alright, we are making some ravioli lasagna today. It is so good and it's very, very easy. I've got my oven preheated to 400 degrees. I've got a 8x8-inch baking dish greased and ready to go, setting to the side, and I've also got a skillet on the stove ready to go. So for ingredients, all you're going to need is your favorite or whatever kind of ravioli that you like or you have on hand. Some of your favorite pasta sauce. This right here is one of our favorites. Some ricotta cheese, mozzarella cheese that I've shredded, some spinach. I've got some ground beef, but you can do ground chicken or ground turkey. I've got a garlic clove that I've minced. In here I've got basil and garlic and some salt and pepper. And as usual, I will leave the link to this recipe in the description box below for you guys. So I'm going to get you guys set up and we will get this started. Alright, so I went ahead and added my ground beef to my pan. It's over medium-low heat. And I'm just breaking it up with my spoon. All I'm going to do is cook this and kind of break it up a little bit until it's cooked completely through. And then we will add everything else. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we will move on and add the rest of the ingredients. Alright, so my ground beef is cooked completely through. I went ahead and added a little bit of salt and pepper. And now we're just going to add in our garlic. And we're going to let this cook for about 30 seconds or so. Just until that garlic is fragrant. And we're going to go ahead and add in our basil and oregano. We're going to let that toast up for about 10 to 15 seconds just to help release their natural oils. Kind of liven them up a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in all of my spinach. This is about 2 cups of spinach. I keep it in the freezer. I buy it fresh and then automatically put it in a Ziploc bag and stick it in the freezer. So that way it stays fresher longer. And I always have it on hand to add into any dish. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in all of my pasta sauce. I'm going to turn my heat down to low and kind of mix this together. We're going to let this cook and kind of thicken up a little bit for about 10 minutes or so. Alright, so my sauce is done and I just added a little bit to my bowl, or not my bowl, but my baking dish here, just to the bottom of it so it prevents the ravioli from sticking to the pan. It's also greased. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer on some of my ravioli. I'm going to do half of this package, and then I'm going to top it with ricotta cheese and some mozzarella cheese, do another layer, and then I'm going to finish with the remaining sauce on top, and then sprinkle over the remaining mozzarella cheese, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Alright, so here is the ravioli lasagna. I've got it all assembled. I'm going to grab some aluminum foil, and I'm going to spray the dull side of the aluminum foil with a little bit of olive oil, and then I'm going to cover it and pop this in the oven at 400 degrees for about 30 to 35 minutes, maybe 40 minutes depending. And then I'm going to remove the foil and put it back in the oven for about another 10 to 15 more minutes, just to get the top nice and lightly golden and get that sauce nice and bubbly. In the meantime, I'm going to clean up and make a salad to go with this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I will show you what it looks like when it's done. Here is the ravioli lasagna right when it comes out of the oven. I had a little bit spill over, so make sure you put this on a baking sheet when you put it in the oven, just to, you know, catch any spills that might come out of the pan. If you have a bigger pan, just put it in there. But yeah, I'm just going to let this cool down for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then I will make my plate. Alright y'all, here's my plate. I just have the ravioli lasagna here. This is so good. And I just served it with a little bit of avocado on the side, as well as my berry salad just a simple salad. It's mixed greens with some blackberries, blueberries, strawberries, pecans, walnuts, and some pumpkin seeds, and a delicious vinaigrette to go on the top. But you guys, this was absolutely delicious, and I love having recipes like this on hand for busy days. But this is what we had for dinner tonight. Alright, so I'm going to be making salmon patties today. I've got my macaroni and cheese going on the stove already, as well as my fried cabbage. So we're going to work on the salmon patties. What you're going to need is a can of salmon that's drained and deboned. I've just got it in my little bowl here. You're going to need some salt and pepper, some breadcrumbs, some corn. If you don't like corn, you can use peas, a couple of eggs, a quarter of an onion that I've got finely minced. For seasoning, I've got garlic powder and some dill, and I've also got some baking powder in there. And all you're going to do is combine all of the ingredients in with your salmon, pat these out into little patties, and put these in a greased pan to cook. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this all up, and then I will show you what they look like when I get them in the pan. Alright, so I've got my salmon patties here. I just patted them out and then put them in some coconut oil. They're frying up. They're getting nice and golden brown on that side. I've got my cabbage here. It is done. All I did to this was I just added a little bit of bacon grease to my pan, diced up my cabbage, put the cabbage in there, let it get nice and toasty brown, about 5 to 8 minutes. And then I added a little bit of whey. If you don't know what whey is, you can just use chicken broth, probably about 1/3 of a cup. Whey is just the product that comes off of making cheese. So I just added that in there, and I let that cook down for about 15 minutes. And then I seasoned it with salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder, and then I let it cook up for about another 4 or 5 minutes, and that is done and good to go. My macaroni and cheese is just the Velveeta box mac and cheese. So I'm going to put these in the oven so they can stay warm while I finish my salmon patties. And once these gets done, I will go ahead and make my plate, and then I will show you my plate. Alright, y'all, here is my plate. I just have the salmon patties here. Now, I like to put hot sauce on my salmon patties. It's just something that I've always done, and plus I like spice, so I find it tastes really, really good. And then I just paired it with the fried cabbage and the macaroni and cheese, and this was a super easy meal that come together in under 30 minutes, and it was absolutely delicious. And you guys stay tuned for next week's meal plan. Alright, this week is spring break for my daughter, so she's going to be home all week this week. But this is this week's meal plan. This is subject to change because this is just something that I just wrote down in hopes of that I could make it this week. But Tuesday we're going to have chili cheese tots and a salad. Wednesday is chicken bacon ranch wraps with french fries. Thursday is going to be a super easy spaghetti with tomatoes, parm, and garlic. It's so good. It's so easy. Friday is going to be air fryer chicken, veggies, and rice. So yeah, that is what we're going to have for this week, hopefully. But I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.